Hello everybody, welcome to ScottyDGaming. I'm Scotty D and today is my review of Warhammer Chaosbane. Oh, Gimli mate, put the intro on. Oh, what's that? You smashed the intro into 1,000 pieces. Oh well lads, looks like there's no intro for this review, let's get straight into it. Warhammer Chaosbane is an action role-playing game set in the Warhammer fantasy universe. Now I'm not going to try to pretend to know about the universe, as my knowledge is strictly limited to the 40,000 Space Marines on a superficial level. I'm just here to try and get my Champions of North and Diablo ARPG fix. Now this does have a 4-player couch co-op which needs to be mentioned, because every ARPG should have this, but unfortunately most developers leave this out for online play. Big thumbs up for the co-op mode. You've got your standard 4 character classes to choose from: the Soldier, the Mage, the Warrior and the Ranger. I played as the Ranger class because I always try to create either trappers or beastmasters in these types of games, and I wasn't disappointed. I liked how the pacing and progression is quick. After every mission you'll get at least one full level, meaning you're always excited to mix up your skills after a battle and see what you have unlocked. Chaosbane's skill system is different from most ARPGs and I really enjoyed it. Each skill has 3 tiers, all with increasing costs. Your pool of skill points are used to equip these skills, but you can't just go and equip tier 3 of everything because your pool of points won't cover it. Instead, you have to get your optimization and planning head on and decide which skills can take a downgrade so you can have the best skills that play to your strengths. I love making builds in these games, and this system gives me the satisfaction of doing that. Also, you aren't tied into making any wrong choices because your pool of skill points is permanent, and once you unequip a skill, you get the allocated points back, meaning you can completely change your build whenever you like. You've got 6 active and 3 passive skill slots, so 9 slots in total. In general, basic skills cost 5 points, medium 10 and the best 15, and at the maximum character level of 50 you've got a total pool of 100 skill points to use, just to give you an idea of how you're going to have to mix and match weaker and better skills. The game took me 15 hours to complete, and when I say complete I mean finished an entire character. It took me 12 hours to finish the campaign at level 47, 1 further hour to reach level 50, and then 2 more hours to grind for the best gear for my build. Also note that I boosted the difficulty up to hard after the first act, which did slow me down a little. There are 4 acts in the game set in 4 different locations and all have a big boss at the end of them. My issue is that the diversity of the landscapes and levels are really lackluster. Repeated environments just make you feel like you're playing the same mission over and over again. And when I say repeated, I don't mean the same look, I mean the exact same layout each time. This makes each act feel dragged out because once you've seen the first mission, you've seen them all. It's a fantasy setting. There's so much you can do with the environments to excite the player, but they do nothing. There's no visual landmarks to find, no castles, no frozen lakes, nothing to add a bit of personality. It's just the same corridors over and over again. The bosses are pretty good, because they've all got elements that make it more than just nuke them into infinity. They make you discover their patterns to be able to succeed. For example, the first boss has a line attack which you can see and dodge, and also a big area of effect acid spit which you can only avoid by standing behind one of the 3 rocks in the area. But his line attack can destroy the rocks, so if you aren't paying attention you could have destroyed all cover and have nowhere to hide. I loved what they did here, and although the other bosses do have their patterns, they don't have as much creativity as the first boss. If you want a good story, then you should definitely look elsewhere. The story in Chaosbane is completely useless. It's told terribly, has no cutscenes apart from the slideshow in the beginning, and the ending is a complete joke. You will not get anything satisfying from this aspect. You'll only ever talk to one person in each act, and that person is in the town hub that gives you the next quest. There's no side quests or NPCs to find elsewhere. Basically, bad people are bad and must be destroyed. That is the extent of the story. A side note on the voice acting. Now I can't comment on the other 3 classes, but I played as the female archer, and her voice acting is the worst acting I've ever heard in my entire history of gaming. She sounds like Mary Poppins on hallucinogenics. Her tone never matches the situation, and there's times when her voice turns into a man's and reads a dialogue. It's so bad. I actually think that the character was supposed to be a man originally, but they changed it at the last minute and dragged some old granny in at gunpoint, forced her to read the lines, and that's why she sounds so confused. The combat in Chaosbane is solid, but it's got one major flaw, and that there's an aggressive auto target that you can't turn off. meaning that you'll often be fighting with the aim because it locks you onto the closest enemy when you might want to aim at something else. The aiming in these games should always be completely free aim. Where this works against you is if you want to use a skill that has a front facing area of effect. I want to maximise my group damage by firing a wedge of arrows that hits everyone, but the auto aim makes me fire at a single goblin stood at the side of me, sending my wedge into a tree, missing everything else. It really boils my fucking piss. Chaosbane has no replayability outside of playing the other 3 classes or with friends. There's no end game and very limited content. The only things you can do are expeditions where you clear out an area of enemies, but there's no reward, only XP which you don't need end game, or the boss rush mode which just lets you pick a boss fight and get the best gear which you'll have within 2 hours of grinding. The loot is also a very standard affair, although it does come thick and fast, it's merely an incremental upgrade to stats. Aside from heroics which you'll only find at the end of the game, there aren't any unique abilities assigned to pieces, meaning that on a campaign playthrough you'll just be equipping better stat items. Warhammer Chaosbane is simply a mediocre experience, but I did have fun with it. If you want a new game to feed your ARPG leveling and character building itch with an instant gratification 15 hours of play, then I think you will have fun, but if you expect anything else, you're going to be severely disappointed.